So in this week's video, I'm going to talk to you about how I overcame myself, how I built habits every day that served me, and how I use that to achieve my goals. And you are going to learn how to do the same. But before I tell you how, let me tell you how I got here. So I came from a pretty rough start in life, a mixture of complex trauma and severe chronic and mental illness for a number of years. And that left me with some heavily disempowering coping strategies. And we're talking over consuming on alcohol, cigarettes, on food, on consuming media. And what that meant was that for much of my life, I lived in a way where I was incredibly unhappy. I had no sense of congruence, so no integrity with myself. I kept doing things that didn't serve me. And though I was doing stuff for other people that was great, and you might be able to relate to this, so I was performing well, I was giving of myself to other people as a leader, I was doing well, but inside I was driving myself into the ground. And so what my changes that I made enabled me to do was go from smoking and drinking and consuming to doing 15,000 steps every day as a standard, to giving up both the cigarettes and the alcohol for the last 3.5 years. And actually the day that I started doing those 10,000 steps was the last day that I had a cigarette. And what changed? So what changed for me? How did I make these big shifts? Because I smoked and drank and did all those things for the majority of my life. Well, what changed is I gave up my leadership role. I went back to do my master's. Why? I wanted to do something meaningful to me. And I bet right now you've got something that you're working on, or that you want to work on, you want to invest in, you want to be at your best for. And so that was the thing for me. And I went in on that thing, and I needed to back it because I knew what had got me there wouldn't get me where I needed to go. It wasn't going to take me any further. And so I started to realize that I needed to have self-credibility. I needed to actually do the things I said I was going to do. I needed to actually have that sense of integrity with myself, because that's what I was so lacking before. I would make these commitments, I would say I wanted to do these things, and then I wouldn't back them. I wouldn't actually do the actions it took day in, day out, the small things that I needed to do to turn that dial. And what that meant was that every time I broke that commitment with myself, every time I didn't go for a walk or work on my body or work on my mind, or every day I had that alcohol, every day that I smoked that cigarette, I was chipping away at my self-esteem, my self-credibility. And as Nathaniel Brandon says, who's a self-esteem legend, we think, oh, no one else will know that I've done that thing, that I've eaten that whole tub of ice cream, that I've had that extra glass of wine, that I haven't invested that time in my project, that I haven't, actually held my integrity with myself, with my goals, with the people around me. But what he makes the argument of, and what we know to be true when we look at ourselves, is that the most important person does know, and that most important person is you or me. Because we know when we haven't actually met that commitment, and we know when we have. And that's why it's called self-esteem. And self-esteem is something we gain when we have the self-credibility, when we chip away at those things day in, day out. And we don't have to take these huge actions. So Dean Graziosi talks about this analogy of a farmer going out into a field every day. And he says, and he goes out into that field, he does the same track every day, and he's just carving that track, that rut deeper and deeper. And he wants to change something. He wants his life to be different. And he turns the wheel one day, and he turns it just a quarter. He doesn't turn it a half. He doesn't turn it 3/4, just a quarter. When he turns that wheel and he starts to go, and initially he's still in those ruts, and initially it doesn't really look that much different, but when he keeps going, he ends up miles out. And that's the trick. It's what we keep doing day in, day out, especially on those days when we don't want to, especially on those days when we feel overwhelmed by our circumstances, when we feel tired and exhausted and run down. And that's what I would call a banking day. So on a banking day, I will accept, I feel like fill in the blank, but yet I'm still going to do the thing which is going to move me forwards. That might be going to the gym. That might be meditating. That might be investing in a relationship. That might be investing in your business, your work project, your creative project. Whatever it is for you, make sure on those days when it really matters with yourself that you show up. Because as Matthew Hussey says, every little bit of effort counts. And when you put in those efforts day in, day out, that's when you get to change the course of your life. Now, if you would like me to be with you on that journey of changing the course of your life, then head over to growingbeyond.co.uk and sign up for my program. And please do share this video with someone that you feel really needs to hear this today. And I want to hear from you. You know how much I love your comments. So tell me, what is something in your life right now that you can commit to just turning that wheel just a quarter each day? Because what would you give to see how far you could get if you kept doing that every day? All right, guys, I'll see you in the next one.